And we're live. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of 305 Takes. On Monday, me and Miles have a good show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the Dolphins Chargers game last night, the NFL playoff picture now that's more updated. We even have a team that clinched a playoff berth, so we do know exactly one team that will be in. And we're going to be talking about some fantasy football because in one league, the playoffs started for someone, and this is also the last week for our league. So we got a lot to get into in terms of fantasy football and some pro football news. So we're going to be doing that. But before we start, we do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, E2G Sports, who does help us put this podcast on for you guys live every Monday at 2:30 p.m., every Friday at 3, where me and Miles get to sit down and talk to you guys about fantasy football, pro football, and basically betting news. So we are thankful to them for that, so that way we could stream it on YouTube and all the other platforms. So, guys, now we can get started with the first topic of the day, and let's talk about the Dolphins versus the Chargers. And before I go on mine, Miles, I'll let you take the floor because I know the Dolphins are near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, so it was an experience last night's game on Sunday Night Football, and I was pretty hyped about it going in because I thought that the team would definitely answer back from the disappointment that they showed in that San Francisco game, and then like a couple hours before the game, you got the Tyron Armstead news that he would be available and active for the game. So I was like, all right, we should have a bounce back, and the Chargers are missing, I believe it was six defensive starters for their team going into that game,
Yeah,
including
6.
including Derwin James, their
Bryce
slot corner Bryce
Callahan.
Callahan, two defensive tackles. So I'm like, all right, like the offense should be able to do their thing. And going into the game, I'm like, all right, it's probably going to be offense versus offense because I expected both the quarterbacks to be really hyped up for the game and wanting to show like, all right, there's a reason I was picked before this guy, or in Herbert's case, show there's a reason that I believe I'm the best quarterback in this draft class. And Tua was absolutely terrible in the game. He finishes 10 for 28 for 145 yards and the one touchdown to Tyreek Hill, which the defensive back fell down on the go route. But 10 of 28 and four of those completions were on the final drive that the Dolphins had in the game. So basically, six passes completed in the four quarters. And that is probably the most concerning thing. And, you know, what I understand that Jeff Wilson went out with the injury, but the Chargers have shown for 2 years that if you consistently run the ball on them, they can't stop it. Like they can't stop it. They're light at linebacker, and we just mentioned the injuries that they had on the defensive line. We didn't even mention Bosa, and the Dolphins couldn't get the running game started at all. And when you have your opening three drives go for 5 yards, like that to me points
That's
out
embarrassing.
either the offense just could not get things together or they were simply outcoached. I don't think they were anticipating what Brandon Staley and the Chargers defense had for them. And what was different in the game plan that the Chargers rolled out there is that they played press man coverage on Tyreek Hill, on Jalen Waddle. They were not playing zone, which is what the Dolphins have seen the most from any. Again, Dolphins offense has seen that the most compared to any offense in the NFL this year. And Tua has been incredible against the zone, and he's been able to pick it apart right down the middle, which is not usually what you see. But with the speed that they have on the offense, that's how they've been able to generate these big explosive plays. And with Tua's accuracy and anticipation, that's how the offense has looked the way it has through the first 11 weeks before the last 2 weeks, and that just did not show up. And if you look at it, the Dolphins or for Tua, completed just two passes that traveled more than 10 yards down the field inside the numbers. And just for perspective, he had been completing seven passes over that went over 10 yards in the middle of the field since returning from injury in week 7. And he did just two times against the Chargers last night. So the offense was honestly really concerning. And now when you look at the Dolphins' big picture, so they lose to the 49ers last week. Okay, like you can kind of write that off. The 49ers are really good. You probably missed out on the opportunity of getting Brock Purdy when he was most vulnerable because he was thrown in the middle of the action. Wasn't like he had a week to prepare for the defense. And then this week, you play the Chargers Sunday Night Football. It's a big game. It's a divisional game, and you lose that one. Now it's a short week going Saturday to Buffalo. Early weather conditions look like it's going to be 30 degrees and super windy. So it's not looking good for the Dolphins. They're going to be underdogs going into that game, and you got off to the great start, sustained the record even with the starting quarterback going out. But now it's like, all right, was that all for nothing? Because there's a very real possibility that the Dolphins don't make the playoffs now.
There is a possibility, but man, just for my whole perspective on the game, I'm just gonna kind of just reiterate more of what you said. Tua was just not good. Like he was not good. There's a lot of passes where there was no one near it, and I'm just when you're throwing the ball out for just when the play is dead, I have no problem with that. But there was plays and throws where you just simply missed Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I didn't even think he barely got any targets, and it's like you said, the Chargers defense, they just press man coverage. When I go, okay, I get the press man, but also with the speed you have,
You
you
should
should
be
be
able
able
to.
to beat that, like with
And
no problem.
yeah,
And
Waddle didn't have his first catch until the fourth quarter.
they just the Dolphins offense was just they were bad. Like they were legitimately bad. And if it's not for that unreal play of that fumble where Tyreek took it 50 yards and then like you said that 50-yard touchdown where him and Davis their cleats like just collided and Davis is on the ground, Tyreek is still up. The Dolphins didn't do anything on offense. If it's not for the two plays that went over 50 yards, they don't do anything. And essentially, if you like how we said, if you take away Tyreek Hill from the game, what did they do? And the defense, the Dolphins defense, well, we talked about them the whole year. They're just not good. And Xavier Howard, he had a bad play where Mike Williams just simply beat him. And then a couple of other plays where I understand some people are talking about the roughing the passer call.
That
Yes,
was
I don't like it either, but that's been consistent throughout the whole year.
except
So
for the Pickett injury. Pickett gets
yeah,
tossed down. That's the thing I don't understand. Pickett gets
yeah.
tossed down, and that's not roughing the passer. But Jalen
They
Phillips is
go
coming
like the body weight. If it
in. Yeah,
the
Jalen
body
Phillips
weight is on the
got
quarterback,
his
it's a
arms
roughing
up,
passer.
and I don't even understand what he's supposed to do in that situation. And to your point,
Exactly.
Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler combined for over 300 total yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yep. And they were just unbelievable. While Justin Herbert kind of for now proved why he's better than Tua. And Tua just was not good. This was his time to like kind of prove to everyone who kind of speculated for the ever since the end of the first season, saying was Justin Herbert the right pick? And then how some people are probably saying, did we make the wrong decision at quarterback again? And I'm pretty sure it was in Tua's head too that all right, they're doing good. Now let's prove that Tua is the right guy. And it just didn't work out. So it's definitely tough for the Dolphins, and I'm pretty sure they are happy that this West Coast trip is over because to lose to the 49ers to basically Mr. Irrelevant, that's bad. And then to lose to the Chargers,
Yeah,
like how
but
you
he's
said,
not that bad. He's not bad though. That's the thing.
yeah,
He's not
like
a bad
he's solid. Like he's solid, but then to lose to the 49ers after basically you got the backup quarterback was gone, then you have their third string quarterback, and then you play the Chargers, like you said, what 6 defensive starters out. They did
Yeah.
that without Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Bryce Callahan, J.C. Jackson, and the list goes on. Like, there's a lot of big names on that defense that are not there, and you couldn't move the ball on them. And now you're going to go play Buffalo, who's essentially getting healthier. The only person who's not going to play is Micah Hyde.
Yeah, but I feel like this is a good time to get Buffalo because I feel like their offense hasn't looked good
They did not look good.
since that Josh Allen injury. So I do feel like this might be a time where you could get Buffalo. And really, I mean, what you've seen from Tyreek Hill, it really only takes, what, 2 plays? And it could
Yeah,
change the entire complexity of the game. And
that's fact.
to your point, Herbert did have an excellent game. Throws for a season high, 367 yards, 39 of 51 passing, and a touchdown. So there's absolutely nothing that you could say Herbert did. And their drives were insanely impressive. Like they kept mentioning on the broadcast how tired the Dolphins defense had to be because I mean, even their first
They
drive
just
where they
kept.
stopped them
Yep.
in the red zone where on that fourth down, but it was a 9 minute drive. The in total the Chargers ran 78 offensive plays for 432 yards, which is, I mean, that's pretty much insane. That's like when Georgia plays Alabama A&M or something like that. So that's what you can't have, and that's why I was thinking like, was this the first time we've seen Mike McDaniel just absolutely get out coached because
Yeah.
you
I
couldn't
believe
you
so.
couldn't move the ball on offense, and it was you weren't your time of possession was terrible. So you're kind of leaving the defense in a vulnerable situation. I mean, I know I personally have been struggling with what this team can be because I think defense is going to be the thing that holds them back. And honestly, the defensive line I thought played a decent enough game. Jalen Phillips was causing havoc. He got the 2 sacks. Christian Wilkins, thought played an absolutely phenomenal game, especially defending the run. He was in the backfield causing havoc a lot. But then,
Bradley Chubb had a solid game too.
yeah, Chubb was solid. He got 2 quarterback hits, didn't get any sacks, but he was getting some pressure. They did a great job of having Herbert on the move a lot, and he was just extremely accurate. But then I wonder, like, okay, did Mike McDaniel just get out coached, or do we kind of have to recalibrate how we think about the Chargers because now they do have their big three in skill position players with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Eckler all out there because they showed the graphic that I believe it was like 58 offensive snaps that they've run all together this season, and they were up to like 30 something during the course of the game. So it could be a little bit of both where, all right, the Chargers got all their skill guys together. They were all finally 100% healthy. They weren't just like, all right, I'm healthy enough to play. Like it was like, no, I'm 100% healthy. Anything you need from me. Because Williams had a great game. Not only the the play where he just ran right by Xavier, but that catch he made on the sideline uh, was incredible. And like he's like, I feel like it's like him and DeAndre are like the only type of receivers and old school Julio Jones that can make that type of catch where it's just like I'm just physically bigger than you. Like you can be a
And the one
perfect.
in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, that was great catch, great pass, everything. That was just beautifully
Yeah,
executed.
it was
So
unbelievable. I was like, man, that's a hell of a catch.
yeah, so that it was a disappointing showing for the Dolphins, and to the point about Tua. So after completing 68% of his passes during the stretch where the Dolphins were 8-3, over the last 2 games, which were both losses, Tua's completed just 45.9% of his passes.
Hmm.
28 of 61 against the 49ers, and yesterday he was 35%, 10 of 40, 10 of 28. And
Yep.
like, so you can say like, all right, yeah, he definitely, those were the 2 worst games he's had this season. We can say that, but even still, with those 2 games, it took Jalen Hurts going crazy against the Giants yesterday to finally eclipse him as having the highest quarterback rating on the NFL season. As Jalen Hurts is now the number 1 in quarterback rating at 108.4, and 2 was at 108.2. So even coming off his worst 2 games, he's still the number 2 ranked quarterback in quarterback rating. So I just I'm just a little bit nervous against about this Dolphins team as we move down the stretch because this game this game on Saturday on the short rest in Buffalo is a really really big game, and I just don't know what to expect from this team because the one thing I thought was that the offense would always show up, and you just played a team that was missing 6 defensive starters,
And you didn't do anything.
and you couldn't move the ball at all.
At least the only I see silver lining for the Dolphins is that, all right, now you clearly see you have holes on your team. Now is the time to maybe, until the playoffs start, if they make it, to at least have time to address them or fix them. It's like, all right, what do we need to do different scheme wise? Maybe personnel wise, we just need to put this on third down, maybe put these guys on second down. So I feel like it's bad, but it's also, it could be a good thing for the Dolphins because you don't want to go through the whole season not thinking you have any mistakes, and next thing you know, in the playoffs, you get completely exposed. So I feel like this does help them a bit, but I do want to transition now because we did mention the playoffs, and the NFL playoff picture is starting to take shape. We do have one team that clinched a playoff berth, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. And we do have a team that was
Smack the
eliminated,
Giants.
and we do have a team that was officially eliminated from the playoff picture, and that was, let's ride, Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
So right
And
now the
probably their best
playoff,
performance of the season, and they still get eliminated?
yeah. Well, no, I mean to Russ's credit, he did get concussed, so I'm not
At
gonna
the end,
harp
and
too.
he was, leading a pretty tough comeback, honestly. They were
Yeah,
fighting
he
even
was.
towards the end of that game, yeah.
And right now the playoff picture does look like this in the AFC. You have Buffalo in one, Kansas City at two. They have the same record, but Buffalo has the advantage because they beat Kansas City this year. Then you have the Ravens at three, Titans at four, Cincinnati at five, Dolphins at six, and Chargers at seven, with the Patriots and Jets looming right there. And then for the NFC, the Eagles are 12-1. Pretty sure they're going to clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs. You have the Vikings at 10-3, 49ers at 9-4, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 6-7. They shouldn't even be here. You have the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington Commanders, and the New York Football Giants, with the Seattle Seahawks and Detroit Lions looming. So there there's some good potential playoff matchups here if it were to end today. But right now, I would say with the playoff picture, is there any team you're scared of that's going to get eliminated, or any team you feel like this is a team that will get in the playoff picture?
So, I think potentially that 5 seed in the NFC division is going to be pretty valuable because the Bucks currently hold, the 4 seed, and I don't know if they're gonna be able to win that division. They're not a good football team, and I get
They're bad.
they're not good at all, and, I get that the Panthers won in Seattle, but I don't know if anybody's gonna necessarily be scared of Sam Darnold in a playoff matchup. I get that he's at home and that they do have, they do have a pretty decent, defense, I would say, a defense that is opportunistic, can get after the quarterback and make some interceptions and stuff like that. But I think that 5 seed is going to be very valuable, and it's almost a guarantee that Dallas gets into that unless they just absolutely choke it away during the stretch of the rest of the season. But I think that 5 seed definitely has a lot of potential value because whoever you get out of that NFC South division is going to be a team that you're definitely going to be favored against, even as the road team coming in in the playoff game. But for me, I am again in the NFC. I want to see if the 49ers can get up to the 2 seed and overtake the Vikings because the Vikings, that defense is not good. And just it's pretty much the same thing as the Dolphins where we're like, all right, the offense, we know that Jefferson's gonna go crazy. They added Hawkinson. Cook's not had the greatest year, but he's still semi-productive. It's not like he's completely cooked back there. And
You still have Adam Thielen, who's been giving them solid production. Alexander Madison has been really good for them. So
and I thought Cousins played really well yesterday against
he
the
did.
Lions. So but that's the team that I wish that the season was a little bit longer or that Detroit just, could have put away some of these games like that Bills game on Thanksgiving because I think Detroit talent-wise and the way they play, I mean, I honestly want to see them in the playoffs. I'd
Yeah.
much rather see Detroit in the playoffs over the Giants, over Seattle because Seattle would be fun too, but it just depends on the health of Kenneth Walker because as we saw yesterday, without him in there, you start getting some of the bad tendencies out of Geno Smith when you're, just basically relying on him the entire game. And the Giants, I don't think anybody really wants to see them uh, in that first in the playing that 2 seed, and that's a big game going into next week as Washington and New York play the rematch of
Sunday
the
night.
tie. Yeah.
I've I will say that you took my pick. I was saying I would like for Detroit to get in the playoff picture. The only thing that hurts them was that slow start in the beginning of the year where they were just losing games at the end. That's gonna hurt them, I feel like, because they are so much fun to watch. Like offensively, now they have Jamison Williams. So you add Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark, who had a great game for them yesterday. You have DeAndre Swift. You have Jamal Williams. And Jared Goff. Jared Goff has played
Jared Goff has
some
been
real good
good.
football this
Good,
year.
good. Yep. Jared
I
Goff has
mean,
definitely been good.
he's been good. And
And they're a
I would
fun
like to see.
offense to watch. Like that yesterday was like the best opponent for them. Like there was
Yeah,
nothing the Vikings defense was doing to even frustrate Goff. And we've seen Goff thrive in these situations when he has weapons and he has time to sit back there and digest the defense.
yep. And I would like to see them in the playoffs over the Commanders or the Giants. Nothing against those teams, but I just
I like the
feel like
Commanders a little bit. The Giants, you can get the hell out of here,
it's
honestly.
just offensively. I don't know what the Commanders can do in order to compete with some of these teams. Whereas
F
Detroit,
it,
I'm like,
Jerry down there somewhere.
yeah, Detroit, it's man, that'll be
Detroit, I could legitimately see like as maybe going in on the road and winning. If it's
they
the
can win
Vikings
one.
again, if they sneak in and get the Vikings again, I
Yeah,
would,
no,
I
if they
would,
were
I would
to
not be surprised if they win that. And especially with the Vikings' weird playoff history, I would not be surprised. And you know, I kind of feel
very
good
much
for
could
Lions
be.
fans. It's been basically 30 years of irrelevancy outside of what a stretch when you had Calvin and Matthew Stafford together, and I believe that led
That
to
was it.
one playoff appearance. So
Yeah,
that's about it. And they have a fun team. That their defense is getting a little bit better. They're not by
yeah.
any means good, I would say, but they hang tough. And if you look at it for the future, they have their own first round pick, and I believe it's the fourth pick overall in this draft if the season were to end right now, coming to them
The
from the
Rams.
Rams, and they got extra picks. I believe they have six in the top 100 because of the extra picks they picked up from Minnesota in the Hawkinson trade.
Yep. Right
And
now,
Dan
I would.
Campbell's a super cool coach. He definitely has those guys fighting hard.
Oh yeah, no, they play hard. But right now, if
Yeah.
they were to overtake the Giants, they'd be playing Minnesota. If the season were to end today,
A
Washington will play.
rematch of what we saw yesterday. And I mean, do
Yep.
you have confidence that Minnesota is going to figure out in the playoffs?
Defensively, no. Offensively, I know they can score. Like that's never going to be a problem with Minnesota.
Well,
But
well,
then,
well, the only thing is, if it's a playoff game, that means primetime Kirk.
if they have a game at
Primetime
8 o'clock,
Kirk.
if they have a game at 8 o'clock, I'll be like, I don't know, people. I might want to bet some money on the Lions, but right now, and then you'll have Dallas against Tampa, or whoever wins the South,
Yeah,
and
I
then
think that I
Commanders
think
versus.
that 5 seed is gonna be so valuable because
Yeah,
just you
you're
get
going
the
to be
worst
playing a
division
bad
we have.
team.
Yeah, you get the worst division we have in all of football, and whether it's the Bucks, whether it's the Panthers, whether it's the Falcons, I would love to have that as my first opponent in the playoffs.
And then to also on terms of the AFC side of the playoff picture, one team I would look out for just because I feel like they're playing some good football right now. Injuries did come, did happen yesterday to this team, but I'm going to say Cincinnati. Right now, they're at the 5 seed, and if I'm Baltimore, I'm doing everything I can to win this division because I don't want to face Cincinnati in the playoffs if I'm them. Because right now, Tennessee will take on Cincinnati again, and there's a very good chance the same outcome would probably happen last year. It's just this time less sacks on Joe Burrow.
Yeah, like the matchup we had not this last week, but the week before.
Yep. And then if that were to happen, Baltimore will play Miami. Depending on their quarterback situation, if Lamar can be there for the playoffs, I, I, I don't like it too much just because I do feel like that does give from now all the way until maybe wild card weekend. I do feel like the Dolphins offense would be more healthier. I do feel like Tyreek Hill's ankle injury will be not as bad going into the playoffs. Tua's injury, I know they said he had a little bit of an ankle injury. I don't think it's that severe if he didn't play yesterday. And then it would be the Chargers versus the Chiefs, and the Chiefs and Chargers have always had close games. So I would say if I'm a team, I would try to make sure that if I'm Baltimore, I want to make sure that I win that division and maybe let Cincinnati take that 5 seed. Take who's ever in the South.
Yeah, I think if I'm an AFC team, I'm praying that to not play the Chargers, honestly. That's the team I don't want as they're getting more healthy. I think that's the team I would least want to face in the playoffs. But for me, the team that has impressed me the most, even though they haven't won the last 2 weeks, is the Jets. And I thought that's the team you were going to go to when you started saying that, injuries started to catch up with them yesterday. Mike White got hit hard twice. And the second time I thought he was
He
done
earned a
for the game.
lot of respect from a lot of people yesterday.
And I mean, how? I mean, what? Zach Wilson's what? Their fourth string quarterback? How does he not
Yeah,
enter that
Joe
game?
Flacco got in the game before him.
Yeah, yeah. So, shout out to Mike White, honestly. But and I know they lost Quentin Williams. I want to say like early in the second quarter. So those are two big injuries to monitor as we go down the stretch. But I mean, I think Garrett Wilson's an absolute beast. And if you just look at their weapons, whether it's Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, they can still run the ball even with Brees Hall out. They got this Bam
Knight was
Knight
good
out of
for
there.
them.
I had never even heard of this guy before, and they don't even need James Robinson, who they traded for. So I think that they're a really talented team. Obviously, they're going to be unpredictable the rest of the way because we really haven't seen Mike White do it before. But I like their chances with Mike White way more than I did with Zach Wilson, and I think that
Yeah,
they're a hard team to face against. They're going to give you what they're all the time, and I think that defense is good. We talked about Sauce Gardner before. We talked about DJ Reed. CJ Mosley's on that defense. When Quinn Williams healthy, he's a great player.
yeah. No, the Jets defense is awesome. I
Yeah,
feel
so
like they have a great defense.
that's why as a Dolphins fan, I'm really concerned as we go into the stretch because I think the Jets are simply good. And I mean, as we go into these later games and it gets colder and the season wears on, you want to be able to run on your lean on your defense and your running game. And the Dolphins don't have either to rely on. They have a passing attack that's very lethal. Like, don't get me wrong, they're very good passing the ball, except for these last 2 weeks, but they're very good. They have that's where their weapons are situated. But we've seen time and time again, like in the playoffs, you either need a defense that catches fire or you need to be able to execute on offense. And I just, based off these last 2 weeks, I don't know if the Dolphins can necessarily say with the same confidence that they had earlier in the season that they can still be that team. So
Yeah,
for me, if I was an AFC team, I would try to stay clear of the Chargers because I think they're going to be a problem and definitely a hard out, regardless of who they match up against. And that Jets team, I think, is probably
they're
going to
going
be
to
the
be a
last
problem in the
AFC playoff team.
future. I say give the Jets about maybe next season. I feel like they could be much better because the only thing that just hurts is still a product of their offensive line. I feel like if their offensive line could get like one more piece, I feel like they can be really good because I like the weapons. How you said, Garrett Wilson, I like Elijah Moore is good. I like Corey Davis. If next year they're gonna have Brees Hall, James Robinson, potentially Knight, they're good. And then at tight end, I like what Conklin has done for them so far. I can't be too mad at what he's done. He's been there. He's been productive. They still have CJ, who they
Who's been
got from
brought on?
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yep. So I really have no problems with what they have. It was just the play, and sometimes the matchups just don't match up in their favor, and that would be tough. But I will say, out of all of them, I understand your Chargers point, but with the way Cincinnati has looked the past couple of weeks, I wouldn't want to play Cincinnati just because I know the type of run they can go on. I mean, we saw it last year. I picked them to beat the Raiders. I picked them to beat the Titans, but then I didn't think they had a shot against the Chiefs, and they beat them. And then I didn't think they had a chance against the Rams, but they were close. They were very close. They almost won the Super Bowl by basically allowing the most sacks to a quarterback in a season,
Yeah.
which is
They were
beyond
actively
me.
trying to get their quarterback decapitated in every game, but
Yes,
we're a couple of plays for winning the Super Bowl. Like,
it's
that's
quite
a riddle
unbelievable.
right there.
It's
But yeah,
unreal.
I think, and then big picture NFL wise, is obviously how the seeding is going to shake out. But for me, the big question is, do you think the Eagles can go 16-1?
I believe they could, but I feel like they're gonna lose one of these games just because their starters are gonna be out,
But
or
do you
they'll be
think
like,
they're
all
going to
right,
really do that? Because if they're already locked up the bye, are they really going to want to
yeah.
have their guys out for 2 weeks?
I think
I
they'll
think
have him
even
on for
that
like
last
half,
game, yeah,
for like
half.
a first half, and then let him go. First half, and then let him go, just to get that. It's like keep their legs
And even
fresh.
their backup is Gardner Minshew. I still think he could
Yeah.
be productive against most teams, honestly. And look, this
Hey,
is how their
I like
schedule.
Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, so this is how their schedule shakes out. It's going to be at Chicago, and then this is probably the hardest test that they have left. It's at Dallas on Christmas Eve, 4:25. I don't know really who that game matters for because, like I said, if I'm Dallas, I'm doing everything in my power to stay in that 5 spot. And the Eagles just clinched the playoffs. So like I don't even it's not as anticipated as we thought it could be at one point in the season. Then they go New Year's Day against home against the Saints, and then finish the season home against the Giants, who they just dismantled.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that Giants game, I don't know where the Giants will be. I feel like the Giants might be fighting for a playoff spot, maybe. And I'm pretty sure in that game, just the starters won't play. I feel like the backups will be there. So maybe they might lose to the Giants in that game just because personnel wise, I don't feel like they're going to put the best out there. Um, the
But if
Saints
they
game,
go
I could see
16-1, Hurts
if
has to be MVP.
oh no, I feel like he's MVP right now. I mean, what hurt Patrick was those three picks. That hurt him a lot. If he didn't have the three picks and he had like the three touchdowns and like nothing else, and like over 350 yards, I feel like it's right there. But now Jalen Hurts is kind of. I feel like he's
Yeah,
gonna take
because
off
he
with
went
it.
crazy yesterday, and it's just basically the last 2 weeks that Titans game followed up by yesterday what he did against the Giants, and they're really scary if you look at it. I mean, now that they've been able to answer like, all right, we can beat you different ways on offense, I think they're probably my favorite.
The only thing I haven't seen from the Eagles, I haven't seen them play in a shootout game. I haven't seen them like go toe for toe, score for score with a team. So that would be my only concern with them. But outside of
That
that, I don't.
Packers game a little bit, 40
Yeah,
33.
yeah, with somewhat. So I mean, we'll see. Yeah, but now we got to know if, like, all right, are you going to be legit in the playoffs? Because we've seen teams good in the regular season, but then in the postseason, they just lay an egg. But we'll get back to some football news later. Right now, we're going to take a break and give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, E2G Sports, who helps us broadcast this 305 Takes live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We can't thank them so much. We've been working here for the whole football season. We absolutely love it. It helps us generate our podcast to more audience and can give them a visual podcast instead of just audio. So we are very thankful for E2G Sports, where you guys could get your latest news on any sports, MLB, NFL, NBA. You can check out their sports e2g.com or their YouTube channel E2G Sports if you want to listen to other various podcasts that are not 305 takes. If you are a Boston Celtics, New England Patriots fan of or any team in Boston, this is probably one of the best stations because a lot of the podcasts and news are Boston related. So that's that. And now we're going to talk some fantasy football. And Miles, I think we're going to start with you because in your other league, the playoffs started, and a certain someone who gave you advice last week to pick up Jared Goff, I think it panned out. You're on mute.
Yeah, it did pan out, but unfortunately, again, just an absolute stinker and bad management by me. Because I asked about the whole Kenneth Walker thing, still had him in for some stupid reason. And so I dropped, and everybody had already started. The 1 o'clock games had already started. And the painful thing is Devontae was sitting on my bench, and he could have been my flex. So this is what I did. When we talked and you told me you made the big brain move of getting the Chiefs defense already because they played the Texans, I added them. They were free in my league. So I had three defenses on my team. I had Dolphins, Commanders, and I had Chiefs. The Commanders are on a bye this week. I had the Chiefs, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to use them anyways. I was riding with the Dolphins. I figured they could get some sacks and stuff. So I added this guy, Tony Jones Jr., because that was the only running back that hadn't played and had a potential chance of doing something, right? So I add this guy. He puts up an absolutely phenomenal zero point 0.7 points for me. I drop the Chiefs defense, who goes wild with interceptions and sacks, right?
Yeah,
So I put up just an outstanding 78.3 this week. 26 from Goff, my by far my best player. So thank you. 8 from Cook because he decided he was going to fumble at the 3 yard line. 20 from Pollard. Thank you, Pollard. He might be low key my MVP this year. 0 from T. Higgins, which is the second time he comes into the week
got
questionable,
hurt.
active for the game, then just 0 points. Waddle 4 points. Kelsey, it's the worst game I've ever seen Kelsey play. To be honest, drops a touchdown, just drops the easiest touchdown I've ever seen. 9 points from him. This Tony Jones Jr. I already told you about 0.7. What? And then Dolphins defense won, and I think my third highest player was Tyler Bass at 10 points. So just a terrible week, and it's not even like the guy I faced went crazy. He had Burrow and Eckler, who, they went crazy, and Tyreek, who went for 22. But Amon Ra only had 10, which I was expecting more. Fryermuth pissed me off because he catches a touchdown at the end of the freaking game. Their last touchdown of the game. He was at like 6 the entire game and then ends up with 10. Lockett was good, 14, and he had the Vegas defense with 9. But he kept Mike Williams on the bench with that had 20. He had Juju on the bench that had 17, and he had Trevor Lawrence on the bench with 33. So it's like I dodged the bullet. I still have to play him next week. It's like I dodged the bullet. Hopefully Fields will come back and look somewhat good for me. I doubt Kenneth Walker is going to come back now that they play the Thursday night game. So it's looking like we might have to call in the hearse for my team here because we might be on the way to the cemetery.
What's the point differential?
It's a lot to a little. It's 111 to 78. A lot to a
Okay.
little. So I mean, the
Okay.
only thing that can save me next week is if we just get some big performances. I have first waiver claim, so I'm gonna go back and get the stupid Chase defense. So hopefully we get a big game there. But I don't know what I'm gonna do at flex because now I got Higgins. I mean, Higgins is questionable. I mean, ESPN has him at 11 projected right now, but I don't know if I can trust that. And then so I had to move Devontae from the bench to my wide receiver, and now my flex is looking like it's going to be freaking Kareem Hunt.
I mean, not Juju. I feel like Juju could probably get
No,
something
no, that's
valuable.
the other guy's team. On my
Oh,
bench right now, I have Higgins, Lamar, Kenneth Walker. Who I mean, if he plays, he'll be my flex. Fields, I'm probably going to start Field. I don't know, but Fields plays Philly, and Goff plays the Jets. So I'll probably start Fields over Goff, and then I might go Commanders defense against the Giants, and then my only other option is James Cook because I'm dropping this. I'm going to do it right now. This Tony Jones Jr. I point seven,
or
point seven.
maybe I mean, if you could find like a DJ Chark, that could help.
Yeah, or maybe Jamison Williams.
Jameson Williams, that could help. But I mean, hey, if you're out on that one, you're
Uh,
still in on this one.
yeah,
On
yeah.
our
That
league.
that that. Even though I lost, at least I will be in the playoffs. So as one season ends, the second season of the other league starts,
Still
and
continues.
that's a crazy league that we are in because we
Yeah,
put up points in this league.
yeah, we put up points, and I will say for anyone that doesn't know, Miles already has a playoff spot locked. But right now, what it looks like Miles is not going to get the bye. It looks like that
Yeah,
bye is going to go to Alex, not because of well record wise, but points. They're almost right there. And then because Alex beat Moises, I'm pretty sure. Alex has 135 to Moises 112, and Alex still has Hollywood Brown to play while Moises has Kyler Murray. So unless Hollywood Brown just does not get a reception and Kyler Murray goes off, Alex is going
yeah,
to win.
that's a wrap.
And then we had a crazy game yesterday between Edwin and Pete, and it's 100% done. Both teams, all
Yeah,
the players play. Everyone hear this. The score is 97.6 to 97.1. Edwin beat Peter, and Peter's gonna end the season. So I'm gonna tell everyone this. I
0.51 points.
yeah, that it's tough. It's tough.
0.51.
Peter was 8-2 going into week 11. He's gonna finish the season 8-6 on
And
a
the crazy
4-game
part,
losing streak.
and the crazy part is that Pete had Fanta in at tight end, got Goose egg at zero point 0, and
Yep.
14 from Dawson Knox on his bench.
Yeah,
What was he
that hurt.
doing this week?
Oh well, I talked to him yesterday. He said he didn't set his lineup. He said it on Wednesday and
Because he
didn't think.
even lucked out. Debo got hurt in the game, but he still put up
Yeah,
14. If he would have had even Debo, Latavius Murray,
yeah,
DPJ, Donovan's People Jones.
yep.
Oh, that's
And
tough.
there's that. And now we're down to the other two important games where this is potentially playoff seeding. Well, seeding meaning that they win, they're in. Dom and Miles are playing, and if Dom wins, Dom very well could be in the playoffs. And then I'm playing JP, Winner of that is for sure in the playoffs. And right now, I'm currently up 137 to 97. But there is a there's a chance JP can win because JP has 3 players left to play tonight. He has DeAndre Hopkins, the Patriots defense, and the punter for the Cardinals. And I have
Which,
Ramondre
if the
Stevenson left.
Patriots defense puts up a great game, probably means the punter of the Cardinals is going to be putting up numbers too. So that means there's a lot
Exactly.
of 3 and out and stuff. But then that kills his chance of DeAndre doing anything.
Exactly. But then I have Ramondre
Yeah, you
Stevenson.
have Ramondre. Yeah.
So but Ramondre, if Ramondre can get me like 15 points, I'm good. Like
Oh,
I'll be
your
like,
cake.
cool.
Your cake. Your cake.
Like I will be fine. I'm like, cool. I could go into the playoffs next week. I can play who I have to play, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then if Dom were to continue and beat Miles, and then Dom is in the playoffs, and then JP would be out. And I would say, man, yesterday I was sweating bullets once I saw Christian McCaffrey just like going off because Christian McCaffrey's on JP's team. Bro, I was like saying to myself, please get McCaffrey off the field. Get McCaffrey off the field. I was like, Kyle Shanahan, bench him, okay? The game is over. The game is over. Don't let him get hurt. Like, take him out of the game. And once he did, I was like, thank goodness I can stop like sweating now. Oh, but it's
CMC was going crazy yesterday.
it was nuts. And then,
So
oh
I
man,
have in my matchup, I only have Connor left to go,
yeah.
and Dom doesn't have anybody. I don't necessarily agree with this, but ESPN has me projected to get 123 on the nose, and Dom is at 124.65. So I guess there is a chance, but I think Dom's got it. I really don't think Connor's going to do that much tonight.
It depends on how the Cardinals start the night. I feel like does the Cardinals get the offense rolling, I'm like, all right, maybe it could be a good night for them. But I'm also wouldn't be shocked if like the Patriots defense just like manhandles them because
Well,
the
I
Patriots
honestly,
on teams like this.
well, I just think that Kyler will be really good tonight. I don't know about anybody else because I think he's going to be scrambling around, getting the rushing yards, throwing some yellow passes that are somehow completed.
And then Cliff Kingsbury calling some play. Myles is gonna be like, bro, why is this guy a
Why
coach?
is he still coaching, dude? What's going on here? How can you not find somebody better than Cliff Kingsbury?
Oh man. And then so we have that. And I know if I lose and JP wins somehow I'm out of the playoffs. If Dom were to win his game with Myles, I'm out of the playoffs. So I'm like, oh man, it's so definitely some playoff implications are there. I'm hoping I
Oh,
win.
100%. Yeah,
I'm hope
I think you got this. I'll knock on some wood, but I think you got this.
I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping because I don't want to lose after last year when I was like, oh my gosh, where I didn't do anything. Like I'll
Yeah,
be honest,
literally.
I kind of just set my lineup week one, and I just was like, okay, I don't really have to make any changes now. And I think the only change I made was I added Odell, like at one point, and that's it. Outside that, I didn't
And
do anything.
he was snapping at the end of the year.
He
Honestly,
was
he's
snapping.
getting he's getting touchdowns left and right.
And
Touchdowns
so
left
right
and right.
now, if I were to put up the playoff picture, so right now I would have to switch Myles and Alex. Myles will play the 6th seed, whoever is the 6th seed, and then I would be playing who's ever like 4 or 5, depending on the seeding. I mean, I have arguably some top 3 in points, I believe still. I think I'm still in top 3. Yeah, I'm still top 3 in points. I'm right behind Myles. So I would probably get like maybe the 4 seed, but then Myles will face whoever is the 6 seed, depending on whether it's Dom, me, or Pete or JP. While Nick laid a goose egg, and Nick gets the bye.
Yeah, Nick
So
does get the bye.
Nick gets the bye, and I'm like, dang, Nick.
Yeah, Nick does get the bye though.
And
That's
after
what
Pete had
happens.
it, yep, Pete had that bye almost like at a lock, at like week 6. So I was like, okay, Pete's probably gonna get the bye. He'll be good. It changed. It changed.
Yeah, dude. This league has been crazy. It's because even when like I'm at how many points am I at? I'm at 108. I still need a miracle tonight for uh my team to even come close to covering. for me to get the victory. And then even like Moy scored 112, is getting blown out. Um, the 97-96 game, I feel like we haven't had one of those in this league all year. Or the
Never.
97-97, the .51 points that are separating
Pete
that
was
game.
Pete was mad. I texted Pete yesterday.
Bro, I mean, that's a terrible way to end your season. Like, that's how you end the fantasy
On a
season is by
4-game
losing
losing
by
streak
.51.
and you end the last game by losing by point 0.5, that hurts.
That literally sounds like torture. Like, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Like, that sounds like torture because we're supposed to be here for fun. Enjoy
Yeah.
a little season. Even if you get your, behind kicked and you're always like, oh, I'll make it up. I'll make this move. And, sometimes it doesn't work out. And then sometimes you win by .56. And then sometimes you're on the opposite end of that .56. But what I'm looking forward to in this league is how it shakes out in the playoffs, especially with or the fact that some teams are going to be clinching their playoff spots. So we'll see how much the Stars actually play in some of these matchups. It could be a little bit of a determining factor. But next week with the playoffs starting, I think it'll be really competitive in that league. Well, best of luck to everybody that makes it.
Man, I'm curious just because I I don't like saying this, and I really don't, bro. I said this in my head. If it's not me, I legit think Alex is winning.
I could see it. I could see it. His team's stacked. I like
Bro,
my
his
team too, but Alex's team is stacked.
if you had Cup, I wouldn't have a problem picking you.
It's just that
But
he gets so lucky with his skill position guys because like he got Chark. Like who started Chark yesterday? Like there's no way he was starting.
it,
He's only rostered in 22% of all ESPN leagues,
Alex just was like, he goes, I don't trust Mike Williams against the Dolphins. I'm going to pick up Chark. And I was like,
and he still
clearly it
snapped.
worked.
Mike Williams still snapped. So yeah, he does have a really stacked team too. Can't be mad
And
at it.
like, just hear these points. Week 1, he lost 107 to 124. He comes out the next week, has 200. Then he goes 108, 104, 160 to 88, 160 to 145. He beat me that week. Thanks, Alex. 118 to 90. Then he lost against Pete, 127 to 123, very close. He beat Dom 164 to 108. Then he finally lost to me. I was so happy that week, 131 to 93. He beat Edwin 120. Like his worst performance was 90 points. Outside of that, he scores over 120
Yeah.
a week.
Yes. Yeah. He goes crazy. To be honest,
I
he
mean,
does
it's
go crazy.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
If
That's
you
why
had
this makes
Cup, that's where I was like, man, I really feel like you can like get there.
Yeah, the Cup Tyreek Hill was such a fun duo to have at wide receiver to begin this year. But I mean, I still got Lockett, who's been on I think 6 straight games with a touchdown. I got Watson, who's like a touchdown only guy. Ayuk might step up now that Debo's out. He's probably like their only pass catcher, him and Kittle. So we'll see. We'll see. I like my chances. I got to get a better punter though, because I thought the Steelers would be punting a lot, but little did I know Trubisky was going to come in and just throw an interception every other pass attempt.
That's why this week I picked up the Giants punter. I did not like their chances against the Eagles. I was like, oh, I have to make this
How
move.
did that play count though? That play where he
I
let the ball
don't
down.
know. I mean, he got the punt off.
No, but they called it illegal punting.
Okay, I'm pretty sure
They
then the
called it
play
illegal
didn't come.
kicking on yeah, but I feel like that should be negative points. If you're a punter and you induce a penalty, that's
Oh,
insane.
well.
I've never seen that before.
Well, should talk about that next year. But I'm just hoping. And then Kirk Cousins, who I picked up because of Lamar. Kurt was awesome. He gave me 25.
Dude,
I can't be
played really well last night. Yesterday
can't,
against the Lions.
can't be too mad. And then if I were to make the playoffs, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on Saturday.
Oh,
And then
shit.
the rest will play on Sunday at 1 o'clock, except one who will be at 8. But I'm going to change my punter this week.
Okay, yeah.
So
you'll know by 4 o'clock on Sunday how much your
if
team
I'm alive or I'm dead.
Yeah, how much your team put up. Damn, that's gonna be crazy. The Saturday games are gonna make or break you.
Oh man, and the worst part, I just know I'm like, man, I want to enjoy my Saturday, but I just know because of like fantasy football, I'm like, bro, I'm gonna be like on the edge of my seat, just going, please, 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 please.
Yeah, because what is it? It's Ravens Browns. It's Dolphins versus Bills, and who else
Bills
is on it?
and Colts Vikings.
Colts Vikings. What a weird game. Colts Vikings.
I'm just, I'm Justin
That's a
Jefferson. Go
straight
off
shooter.
again. Go off for like another 200 yards. Kirk Cousins, like just keep throwing it his way. Don't do anything else. And
Such a
Dalvin Cook,
strange game.
just I don't care if you have 50 yards rushing, just get 2 touchdowns.
That would be clutch. I have him in the other league. In the league, I'm already in the playoffs, so I'll take all the
It's like
Dalvin points.
50 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'll take that any day of the week. Any day of the
I'd be
week.
stupid down for that. I'd be stupid down for that. But the Colts' run defense is kind of good, though.
Yeah,
All right.
they're solid. I can't be
I
too.
think Jefferson. If you want to do the stars and
Yeah,
duds of
no
the week,
stars of the week.
Jefferson with probably the quietest 200 yards in a game you'll ever see. I mean,
Oh
geez, the
yeah,
guy's unbelievable, bro. The guy is unbelievable, and I get that that's against the sorry Detroit pass defense, but still,
but
like
still,
the guy is unbelievable. And
he,
another stud who we text about already was Evan Ingram, who went
bro,
absolutely
that was my star.
crazy on the Titans. Yeah,
I
that
got
guy went
bailed.
absolutely crazy.
I got bailed so much because JP has him on his bench. I once I saw him just going off, and I was like, he had Evan Ingram on his bench. I just said, this was like a sign.
Evan Ingram goes for 11 catches, 162 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's insane. Insane.
If
And
JP
and the
looks like
Jags
that this
sneaky
season,
Jags
that
sneaky
move is
star.
yep. That to me, that's the star. Because bro, he
I mean,
basically had 40.
yeah. Yeah, he went crazy, and just to have 10 yards per target and 14 yards per reception as a tight end is I don't even understand how that's possible. Like I really don't get how that's possible.
Can't even be mad. I mean, man, and then for bust of the week, man. Honestly, I gotta go with some guys that I'm just gonna name
Tua,
off.
Tua for sure bust.
Tua was a bust. Nick Chubb, bust. DJ Moore, note it wasn't completely his fault, but point 0.6, that's not great. He was
Saquon was a
there.
bust.
Yeah.
Saquon only finished. He finished the game 9 carries, 28 yards, and I don't think he had any. Oh, he had 2 catches for 20 yards.
And then, like you said, Noah Fant, 0 points. Travis
Yeah,
Etienne, 3 points.
Travis Etienne was a big bust this week. Cook was kind of a bust. I mean, the fumble kind of really hurt him there. I don't know what that play attempt was. It looked like anybody on the Bucks is a bust continuously a bust. Honestly,
Devin Singletary was a bust.
yeah, I think his time is done as being any
James
type of.
Cook.
Yeah, I've been telling y'all boys about James Cook. I think he was going to be their vulture, but he's starting to come on. And I thought it was crazy that they traded for what's his face from the Colts.
Oh yeah, Hines, Nakeem
Yeah,
Hines.
Nakeem Hines. I was like, whoa.
And I haven't seen him play.
I think he played a little bit against the Patriots when they were shuffling the running backs because they had a lead.
But man, that was really about it for me in terms of bust. But I will say this: good luck to JP, good luck to Dom tonight, because we're all three fighting for 2 playoff spots. We'll see how the playoff matchups go. Who knows? Maybe whoever is the 6th seed, they'll play Myles next week.
Yeah,
If by miracle Myles does not get the bye.
yeah,
So
that's what I would need, a miracle today. Big James Conner fan tonight.
man,
Big
but
James Conner fan tonight.
James Conner. But guys, this was fun. We will be back on Friday to talk some news about the NFL. We'll talk about the Thursday night game for a bit, but we're really going to be talking about a lot about fantasy because Myles will be going in second week of his 2-week playoff matchup. The fantasy playoffs will be starting for our league, and we're gonna have some games on Saturday, so we'll
Yeah,
even
should
try to
be
break
fun.
down. We'll try to break down some of those games for you guys because this is the last weeks of football, and then playoffs are just starting for fantasy. So there's a lot to talk about. We might try to bring on a guest. We're not 100% sure if we'll have one on Friday, but if we do, we hope you guys will enjoy the show. And yeah, this was fun.
Until next time, peace.